Welcome to the VMware on VMware podcast series. My name is Eric Nielsen. On today's show, we're going to be talking to Rob Ruelas, VP and Head of End User Computing, Americas Sales, and John Drummond, Senior Director of VMware's Information Systems. This program talks about how VMware runs itself on VMware software. We have microsites, blogs, we have a Twitter channel, and we actually do one-on-one interviews with customers to talk about how we're implementing VMware on VMware and how it impacts the sales organization. So let me just first kick it off and introduce John Drummond. John, hi today.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Eric. I'm John Drummond, as you mentioned, the Senior Director of VMware Information Systems. I've been here since 2014 as part of an acquired company called AirWatch. I run today client engineering for VMware. I also hold the title of customer number one at VMware. And really what that means is that we use our own products first, and where and when I feel like there's a fit for VMware's size and scale, we'll implement them here at VMware.
Well, thanks, John. It's great to have you on the show. And next, we'll say hello to Rob. Rob, give me the correct pronunciation of your last name and tell me a little bit about how long have you been at VMware and what do you do?
Hey, Eric, this is, again, my last name is Ruelas, Robert Ruelas, and it's a pleasure to be with you. I have been with VMware a little over 11 years, and I came on board to run the EUC Americas team right in January 2014, right as we were acquiring AirWatch and John's company and stuff. But today I run the Americas for VMware EUC. And it's been a blast to see everything that's been happening in the marketplace. And as John talked about, part of what's big for us is giving customers an example of how we use our technology. But the second piece is, to be candid, the fact that we use the technology and the productivity that's allowed our team to have as we move towards COVID-19 and everything that we've been going through. The flexibility that we've seen with Workspace One UEM and Intelligence has been phenomenal. And again, it's near and dear to our hearts simply because it's made our team productive while keeping everyone safe.
Great. So John, why don't you tell us a little bit about Workspace One and the intelligence service that we have?
Oh, sure. I mean, like Rob said, we're here to share how VMware IT enables our business partners, such as sales, to keep our colleagues productive and enhance their experience. One example is like Workspace One Intelligence service. It gives us deep insights into the entire digital workspace. These insights, along with app analytics and powerful automation, tell us things like when to send equipment alerts or when to debug a piece of hardware, and also when to send notices about these issues to our colleagues and our support teams. It's very insightful. One example is, like a battery indicator, right? Some people might think, hey, it's not a big deal if my battery, is 20% or 40%. But one of the things that we've seen is that a lot of people raise requests for a new computer. And when we dive into these new computer requests, most people say, yeah, when I unplug it, my laptop dies. I can't even run from one meeting to another. I need a new computer. And we're like, well, hang on a second. Your battery's dead or dying, and you're not getting much charge out of that. If we just simply replace the laptop battery, you'll get extended life out of your laptop. So with Workspace One Intelligence, we're able to get in front of those requests and replace that battery when it gets about 40 to 30% of life, and we don't have to buy new laptops as a result.
So that sounds like a good example. That laptop battery is one thing, but then there's all these applications that we're also running in the environment. And Rob, you can tell us a little bit about some of those examples of applications that your team uses that then the intelligence service would help you with.
You bet. And I thought John had picked that example of the battery because of me, because I had exactly that thing happen to me. Now, I wasn't asking for a laptop, but I was getting frustrated as a user that my laptop really was an hour and I had to run to plug it in. Otherwise, it'd come down, right? But I think back to your point, though, Eric, is I think, as you look at where we're at today, I mean, more and more of my users want to be able to use a tablet, an Android device, you name it, right? A lot of our customers are moving towards a handheld medication device, Honeywell, for instance, and the ability to be able to support a new device, for instance, and the ability to do things like check your battery or provide access to that application, and then to do some back-end workflows on that are super, super critical. But the complexity in doing that one user at a time, one device at a time, one application at a time. When it mushrooms when you're talking about 1,000 apps or even 500 apps or even 100 apps, right? And today, by the way, I've got a customer with 500,000 devices and they're managing 9 million applications. Think of IT trying to do that. And that's where IT needs better tools to be able to do that effectively, to bring in more self-service, to bring in more uh, workflows associated with a battery replacement or a malware software that we've identified on a Android device or an iPhone device. They just need better technology to be able to do that. And that's where, to me, that's where intelligence comes in, is how do you do that effectively without missing a beat and continue to support your end users that are having changing requirements? You shouldn't have to buy another tool to manage that new device, for instance.
Yeah, and I would seem that with COVID-19 and all of us working remotely now, I think we're getting a taste of how your organization has always worked, right? Which is you have people on the road, they
Yeah.
have all of these applications. And I know personally myself working from home, that getting support from IT now is a whole different experience, because you can no longer walk up to an Oasis bar and say, hey, something's wrong with this, right? And as a mobile workforce,
Yeah.
you basically have to do this with so many devices where these people are in different geos, different places with, a lot of different environmental factors affecting these devices as they run them.
Exactly. And I would also say that, just think of all the device data. Think of the potential security exposures that you're dealing with that, right? And I think when you look at all the devices that are out there, the potential that's out there, and then you look at all the data and the data plus the applications that are out there, someone downloading something and the exposure, it really has opened up your attack perimeter from a cybersecurity perspective.
Right.
That's where you got to have something. John?
Rob, to add on to that, if you think about all the things that require updates and to level up everything, as when a P0 security incident comes out or whatnot, it could be the Dell BIOS, or it could be a security patch on the operating system, or it could be just a general Windows update. All those are managed with Workspace One. I mean, one of the cool things about Workspace One Intelligence is that I can see every BIOS of all of our Dell laptops, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt, this point and lower has a security risk. So this point and higher, go ahead and automatically send an update to that laptop and get it updated so it has a higher BIOS version, which mitigates that security risk and also patches BIOS problems. And outdated BIOS problems, they cause broken Wi-Fi connections, they cause monitors to flicker, they cause a lot of support issues that if we just update them with Workspace One Intelligence, automatically it takes out of that human reactive work that we have to do based on people calling into the help desk.
So part of this program is also to showcase VMware on VMware to customers. And so Rob, I got to ask you, what is our customer reaction when we talk to them about Workspace One and the services we offer behind it?
It's interesting because I have a competition with my boss on who can demo better. But what he doesn't realize is I'm really not demoing anything but what I'm using, like vApprove. I'll tell you what, I haven't done a demo of vApprove, and I'm literally just approving expenses, approving Workday recs or offers, approving Calidus quotes or comp plans, those types of things, right? And so I haven't seen, as I demo, that's my favorite thing to do, is just show them what I'm doing to do my job in terms of vApprove, getting access to ADP Paycheck, for instance, just to demo the 3 clicks and I'm into an IBM data center that's running ADP payroll, if you will, right? And when I go into vApprove and explain what we're doing within vApprove, the fact that I've got facial recognition to get into Hub, I've got facial recognition to get into my phone, then vApprove, and then I can kind of easily look at pictures of an expense account, which to do it online would take, if I clicked on it by mistake, it would take 5 minutes before the pictures came up, right? And so I think that the ability to be able to show what we do internally within VMware, how it's taken that vApprove, by the way, it's taken about a 45-minute a day workflow at the end of the day, because that's the only time I had to do that, into literally seconds or minutes. to approve. That is a productivity enhancement for me, that I can go back and then do other things that are more valuable, right? And that's incredible. You look at this battery scenario that we talked about earlier. I was having to run back and plug in, and or have to shut down because I was afraid I'd lose power and shut down the spreadsheet or whatever work I was doing. And by the way, I've got a 4-year-old laptop, and it's doing great right now with a 9-month-old battery right now. I didn't have to replace it. And it's exactly like John talked about, right? To me, it's about how do you show people how your life has changed, how your productivity's changed with Workspace One, not just access, but some of those modern apps like VApprove. That's to me, that's where everyone's workflow has got to change. That just happens to be my workflow for approvals on Model N or Calidus or Workday or Concur, right? Is that I'm instantaneously going in and logging into those apps, bringing my inbox, caching it so that it's faster for me. That's modern apps, right? But to me, intelligence is about how do I give IT a workflow and a set of tools to make them more productive, to do things more policy oriented, to spot the red flags when someone's downloaded someone that we know is malware, and then back it out, patch it, change it. Look at someone's battery, by the way. That was an automated IT workflow looking at insights into who has bad battery, and then putting a 3-step workflow that says confirm if it's a bad battery, confirm if it's under support, confirm if you want to order a new one. Done. And then the 4th was confirm that you've installed it. Right. So it's super simple. At the end of the day, IT is more proactive. The user, me, gets better utilization of whatever devices I want, corporate assets as well as my BYO phones. Right. And I get my job done faster.
Hey, Rob, to build on that, we have the VApprove service, running inside the Workspace One Intelligent Hub platform. So no matter if you're on an Apple device or a Windows device or an iPad or some kind of Android, we're able to hit our colleagues where they are and ability to approve those functions. If you solely want to work on your laptop, they come now into the Workspace One Intelligent Hub app. So we can get more approvals done quicker where you are and where you work.
Yeah, you bet. And again, it all boils down to how does IT have a platform to offer their constituents, their end users, the ability to use different kinds of devices based on their preference, based on wherever they are, right? Based on how they prefer to work. And by the way, and that includes Teams versus Zoom versus WebEx and other things that our customers are using. Right. But then be able to do that much more proactively, a lot more self-service for the end user to pick a device, for instance, pick access, but then also to make sure that that's secure. Right. And then have the intelligence to be more proactive and turn IT into a more proactive service support organization to support those users, the business, if you will, but also do it in a secure fashion, right? And then to be proactive on spotting malware, spotting bad batteries, spotting who's got access to something, or who's trying to download something that we know is malicious, right? How do we stop that, prevent that, know that it's even happening? In the past, you didn't, or if you did, you had 20 different tools to be able to figure that out, much less go act on it. Right. But I think it's a different world, definitely much more complex that we've ever seen. But the other piece of it is the users are now, it's almost as though Workspace One has allowed IT to be consumer ready, to the end users, and be consumer proactive in supporting those end users. Think about it. It's not just the Snapchat users that you're looking for, but it's Snapchat at every other application that's there, plus a lot of our SaaS apps, a lot of our mobile apps, everything from Office 365 to communication tools like Zoom and Teams. IT has got to support all that, but also has to support that on multiple devices, right? And I think intelligence providing access to that data, and Workspace One providing that platform for IT to be able to do that is super critical, right?
I have a couple of my favorite things I like to talk about when we talk about VMware on VMware. One of them is my favorite person in the world, Steve Jobs. The best thing about him was that when he would use the devices and then he would provide feedback when he was using devices. He was always like the #1 beta tester. And so when I look at VMware on VMware, do you guys actually get an opportunity to provide John and crew, feedback on how this stuff is working in the field?
Yeah, if John is Workspace One customer #1, I think I feel like I'm Workspace One and IT complainer #1, right? I constant feedback on Boxer, and I go straight to Tony on Boxer issues or hang up, and it's I would be candid with you. I mean, I've been in IT sales for 35 years now, and when I came here 11 years ago, I'd say this was tough IT. I really think that IT is best of breed right now within VMware on the access to devices, access to applications, and helping me give me tangible productivity. But yeah, I mean, I constantly copy John on issues that I experience. I feel like he's my personal help desk at times, and I maybe misuse him a little bit and stuff. I got to remember that he's also my #1, you know, customer reference person I put in front of customers. But John's phenomenal at taking my feedback, taking my input, and dealing with kind of the experience that I have because I am, I'm nonstop. I mean, I'm working on stuff. I'm playing around with a lot of these tools, showing them a lot of times, whether it's Horizon, access to customers straight off of the hub.
Right.
So yeah.
That's great because we're all in this together, and I don't have all the different perspectives that we have out there in the field. So I value your feedback and many of our other feedback that come in the channels that we get. We're happy to dive into that because we can't have all the perspectives in the company. So thank you for your feedback and your team's feedback.
I was going to ask you that, John. I mean, the reality is IT sometimes has a good rep, sometimes has a medium rep, sometimes it doesn't have a great rep. Do you feel like, this has helped you, the VMware on VMware program? Does it feel like it's helped you get closer to your users, to the people that are using our products?
Yeah, it's twofold on that, Eric. So one is our partnership with the product development team. We are very tight. We have many meetings a week, and also with the top leadership, we have hold QBRs. We act as our own customer to our own company, and we give direct feedback, not bottle it up for a year or at a briefing or
Mhm.
something. We give it often, frequent and often to them, and our team is valued in such a way that we have direct access into the bug platform to put in P0 bugs that are showstoppers for companies like our size that will impact our productivity for our sales teams and other partnerships. So for the part one of partnership with development, absolutely, it's been a great partnership to work through and have that trusted advisor. Also, on the flip side, for our constituents or our colleagues, we have that tighter partnership because we need to enable them. We all acting as one to push through and get as productive as possible, especially in the time that we're in right now.
And Rob, I guess I should ask you the same question. Do you get to use John, and does it provide you credibility in the field when you're talking to customers to have somebody like John IT come and talk their language to the customer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can demo how I do my job, but I need a John to kind of explain how he did it, right? How he's enabled that, what he's done, what he and his team have done to support users. It's absolutely invaluable to have that practitioner conversation and to talk through the trials, tribulations, the pitfalls, the how to do it, how not to do it. Because I think that John and our IT team is absolutely pushing the envelope in terms of what's possible with Workspace One, with Hub, notifications, for instance. Just look at Campus. Workspace One Campus was a tight collaboration between our pivotal team, our HR team, John's team, and our development team to build an application that helps you to track employee movement within a campus with iBeacons, right? And that's kind of a big deal. And if you talk to customers about it, everyone's looking at doing that. I've with every customer, I've probably presented to 100 customers over the last 3 months. I think two of them actually have their own technology, and one of them was saying that they were doing something and they weren't specific on what they were doing, right? But I think it's absolutely critical that our IT team can talk to customers about what they're doing and how they're doing it.
And you can't forget about Workspace One Assist. It's
Yeah.
in this day and age, you can't walk to one of our Genius bars or walk up and get shoulder to shoulder help from our support team. So Workspace One Assist enables our support teams to remotely support our colleagues on their mobile device, on their large device such as a Dell or Apple platform, or any device that they're on. In the
Right.
past, we had a third-party product that didn't do all these features. And so we're able to sunset that third-party app, save that cost and fold it into the Workspace One platform. Another big advantage of the platform. And we're happy to roll that out. We started early in February, and today it's full blown. We're using it all over the time. So I'm not sure, Rob, if we had a chance to work with you on remotely supporting your device through Workspace One Assist, but it's just a seamless
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, I've had a couple of calls with folks, especially when we went into the secure Zoom, where I had IT, actually take over my device, look at it, and actually download the new Zoom. So super easy, uneventful, quick response, and where really didn't impact me from a usability perspective. It just helped me get the secure Zoom version of that installed and ready to go, right? But I would say that, John, maybe you can talk a little bit about that one piece that you said is vendor consolidation, because I think a lot of our customers right now are dealing with the uncertainty around cost. And one of the things that we're spending a lot of time with customers around is how do you start to consolidate all these tool sets, right? Where you may have had a tool set for an OS like Windows, another tool set for Apple type devices, whether it's iOS, and then another one for Mac OS, another one for rugged devices. Again, you talked about Assist, but then there's also PC lifecycle management tools like SCCM. And we're starting to see customers say, hey, I don't want to have all those tools. I want to do some cost consolidation of those vendors. And then second, I want to do some IT optimization so that I have my team trained on one tool set, not 5 different tool set for things like single sign-on, for things like analytics and things like PC lifecycle management, mobile device management, Assist, those types of things. Are you guys seeing that same thing internally within VMware in terms of consolidating costs and consolidating vendors and optimizing some of your team's efforts, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. Starting with the last one, VMware Assist, helped us consolidate one of the third-party tools, right? But we didn't get there overnight. Like, we were in the same boat. We managed all of our platforms differently with different tools. And as we got to Windows 10, that was 2015, we were able to latch onto the Workspace One platform with Windows 10 and Workspace One and manage those assets appropriately. And right on the heels of that, we had we migrated our Mac estate over from a third-party tool over to Workspace One. That's when the real consolidation started happening. And that's when you start thinking about tool consolidation, you think of it as twofold. One is the money savings, the ROI components, the different tool sets that you have. And then second, like you mentioned, is your teams, collapsing the teams. So some of those teams are harder to collapse because of just culture, or they're different. They're not under the same VP or something like that, or InfoSec doesn't talk, so they don't align. But once they start talking, they start aligning on the vision, and people get more comfortable with the tools, then their journey gets easier, right? So that's what we found is, like, once they start testing the waters, start feeling more comfortable with the tool, expanding their platforms that they support, all the teams start to latch onto that. And now someone who used to only manage Windows is now able to manage an Android device or a Windows device or an Apple device. It doesn't matter at that point. So that's the beauty of our platform, and that's the beauty of our teams now. They're all acting as one and moving forward as one. It happens a lot with M&As that they have different tool sets as well. And this is a great time to start saying, hey, you used to use this third-party tool to manage your assets. You're part of VMware now. Let's show you the power of the tool. And as they get more comfortable, they lead their integration efforts over to VMware, which is powerful because, one, they have the skin in the game, and they're able to learn the product tool to manage other assets outside their old organization.
Yeah, all right. So one of the questions that strikes me is when we're talking VMware on VMware, the fact that we're doing this in-house, does this accelerate our ability to get application vendors to move into our paradigm, right? Like in a real sense, there's greenfield apps that's easy to write to our platform, but there are these brownfield apps, and then there are app vendors. How does VMware on VMware, help us accelerate application adoption by the industry?
Well, we really have a template that all of our apps fit today, and one of the baselines is SAML 2.0, so as long as the app supports that, it easily plugs into our platform. And, our app migration strategy went years ago, I think 2013 or 14, we migrated all of our apps into this template, right? So now, customers say, how did you get there? And we're like, well, that was a long journey, long time ago. We tell you how we got there. But if you're faced with hundreds of apps and you're contemplating a decision and you're wondering how you're going to get there, you're always going to have this decision with any platform you choose. You might as well just get started on a strategy and move towards it.
Right. Rob, I know that customers, talk to us about having thousands of applications. I mean, do you work with customers directly?
Yeah.
Is this kind of a journey for them?
Yeah, I think, to me, I think the journey that we're seeing with customers is customers want to do tool consolidation, almost vendor consolidation, right? So that they want to get away from having silos of tools. A tool for access to apps, a tool for managing a particular OS, a tool for managing certain kinds of devices, whether they're Mac, Windows, or iOS, right? I think that second phase, as John talked about, is IT optimization. How do you get your team comfortable with using Horizon versus Citrix, for instance, and this whole platform of Workspace One to manage all of those devices, and then transition to managing all of your apps through a tool like Workspace One Access? That's a game changer for IT. It's also a game changer. I would say that's the best thing that you could do for your users in terms of giving them easy on-ramp and login and secure login to your apps, to your virtual apps, desktops, mobile apps, and SAML apps, right? I think that's super critical. But I think that a lot of customers need convincing. As I talk to customers, I just spoke with a very large customer last week, and they're used to, they want to protect their silos. They want to protect the Citrix team. They want to protect the Jamf team. They want to protect the ping team that's doing security and single sign-on, right? And I think that's where people have got to think about, how do I innovate? How do I change to make it easier for my user? And there's no question that with thousands of devices and users, millions of apps, by the way, that customer with 500,000 devices, Win 10, Android, and iOS, we're managing 9 million apps. Think of managing that with multiple tool sets, right? It's just unthinkable for IT. How big is your IT staff? John would love it because he'd be an SVP managing thousands of IT folks, right? But those days it's not tenable. It's not feasible. It's cost prohibitive to do that. And guess what? Your users are upset because they're not getting access to the apps. They can't use the devices that you've dictated to them. Right. You've got to lock down devices, and I think it's just not a good experience for them.
Yeah, and I know as a user, it took me a little bit of time to get to the idea of using Horizon, right, to manage my apps, because we all have our own little favorite apps. You have your own favorite departments, you have everything. But being able to then go into a customer site, just like I started using it, and the next thing you know, it's become my favorite place to go, right? It is the way I look at how I'm going to get my work done, because it's just that efficient now, right? I don't have to keep track of things. It's there. When we show this to customers and you can show that, hey, look, we're running it. Look at how effective I am and how seamless this works for all of us. That must make an impact as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's empowering for the end user. That's the thing that people have to keep focused on. This is about how do you get the 95% of the people at VMware productive? How do you get those users productive, feeling good about doing their work and doing it with as little friction, as little hurdle as possible, but doing it securely. We've got to do everything securely, right? But it is, I mean, to me, to take that via Prove or even take Sales Pulse, for instance, and I got tangible experience where before Sales Pulse, we did like 50 meetings at VMworld. After Sales Pulse, we did 300 meetings and we cut it off last year. Right? The ability to be able to use these modern applications to help us contact our customers easier, more freely, right, is really just giving us the ability to be more productive, get to more customers, and be more efficient. And I think it's because of the work that IT's done to modernize some of those apps, to think outside the box on access. But I think it starts with vendor consolidation, IT optimization, and then IT has got some resources to go do some more things like modernize apps. And ultimately, that's what's going to really generate the huge productivity. And by the way, what I'm talking about is 300% meeting increases from year to year with using Sales Pulse to be able to do targeted meetings to our customers that were coming to VMworld, get them into the sessions, whether hyperconverged sessions they needed to attend, the EUC sessions or the NSX sessions. That's a tool that Sales Pulse is allowing that to happen, is giving the sales team the ability to be able to target their customers that way, see what sessions they attended, and then quickly just ping and send them an email.
So John, VMware and VMware, clearly it's working for Rob. We've all learned in 2020 that things can change on a dime, and this has helped adopt, new technologies. Who would have guessed that we'd be working from home and love Zoom as much as we do? But Rob, where are we going? What are some of the goals for the rest of 2020 for VMware on VMware, and what are you guys targeting and focusing on? Oh, sorry, Rob, I meant John. That's okay. A good John.
I thought so.
Yep.
So,
no, let me address that. I need to consolidate all the AirWatch tools into SAP Brim. I need that. That is absolutely productivity enhancer for our team. Second, we need to get up on CFPQ to have all of our coding on AirWatch, all the Workspace One SKUs, Horizon Universal SKUs, the F SKUs for FedRAMP, all on CFPQ, so that our team is using one tool to do quoting. And I'll tell you, you do those two things, our productivity goes up 10 to 15%. You do that, then our revenue can go up 10 to 15% on top of what we're doing right now. Let me just translate. That's what it means to our team.
Yeah.
Right. And those are really critical numbers. And if we're short on budget, take those numbers, you can go fund more stuff. Right. But I'll let John talk about the rest of IT stuff of VMware on VMware for 2020.
Yeah. So Eric, you talked about, what are we doing, right? So one day we're not going to be sitting in our homes anymore. We'll return to the office. We'll collaborate in the hallways again and things like that. So, but we might have a cloud over us about flu season. Oh no, is this another COVID or something? So the team's really focused in on kind of contact tracing density applications of how many people are in a certain room. Is the density match? Instead of having door counters you might see at some stores, it's all done electronically. There's different technologies we're looking at from Dell. We have cameras at many of the campuses that we can tap into, and then they can see images, and we can count that way as well. So there's you accumulate all that data, right? And you start putting it all together, and it makes intelligent choices about where to send security personnel, where to put additional signs, because there's not enough coverage there for letting people know that they must stay socially distanced and things like that. So we're working really close with the product team on the campus app, like Rob mentioned earlier. Outside of that, we're heavily looking at other things to enable our colleagues to stay social distancing away. I don't want to give too much away, but more to come soon. We're also looking to expand our colleague-facing support so that we're proactive and reaching our colleagues if something starts to break, even an application, say Teams starts crashing all the time. You get some analytics based on that, and we're able to take proactive measures to either patch that, fix it in the background, and magically it just starts working again. Rob probably thinks he fixed it by rebooting, but magically he doesn't even need to know. We just fixed it. And that's kind of part of the beauty of what we're working on next.
So collaboration, everybody's talking about collaboration now because we're all trying to figure out how to renew our social capital, which is weaning as the months go by where I don't get to interact with people. The collaboration tools that are out there, do you guys get involved with that? And I know there's like friction between different collaboration tools, right? Depending, I have to have Zoom up, I have to have Discord up, I have to have now Microsoft Teams up. It's like, how do you deal with some of these kind of scenarios where you have a bunch of different competing apps?
Well, so first, we're a company that's very open, as you know, right? So we welcome many different tools. A lot of these tools were brought to us by our colleagues, and then vetted through IT and InfoSec so that they're secure. And then also, we need to have some kind of standard across the company for this one particular tool. And we have a lot of M&A activity. So we need to kind of standardize on some of that, right? But standardization for us means bringing it into control processes where they're governed, they're secure, you can log into them appropriately and SSO and all that kind of good stuff. They're accessible from your mobile device. So you have collaboration tools. There are many of them, like Slack and Teams and Zoom and things like that. You can do a lot of the same things on all those platforms. So we're reaching people where they are, and we're making sure that they're secure along the way.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I've experienced from this is that you're right. That's why Workspace One is my destination, because you do just plug in new tools for me and they have SSO. I just click on them. If I'm already RSA'd in, I get them on my mobile device. So I got to say thank you for doing a great job there.
Yeah. On collaboration, though, you mentioned a lot of different tools that we have and what the future is going to hold for us. So we're looking at a lot of different tools that will help enable this social capital for, like, say, a new employee that starts. They have zero social capital. How do we walk them around the hallways, introduce them to people, and things like that? We're looking at tools to help us with that. We're looking at whiteboarding tools, outside of the ones that we already own to help facilitate active whiteboarding sessions and then make remote colleagues feel like they're in the same room, even if people are in the office. How do we make them equal participants, not only just being remote, but also in the office? How do we make everyone equal participants? We're working closely with our collaboration team as well as REW so that we can redesign spaces to include all this and be more inclusive.
So Rob, what would you like to see? I know you did do a short list of what you want John to do. From a customer perspective, showcasing VMware on VMware, are there things that we should improve in order to highlight better?
Just very briefly, what I would say is Workspace One's best of breed in terms of single sign-on, access to applications, being able to do UEM gives me a great experience from an end user perspective. I feel comfortable that my BYO device is going to be good to be able to access, I feel good that it's secure, right? So I think that's super critical. I think that next phase, as we talked about, is how do you start driving sales pulse? It has been absolutely phenomenal in terms of productivity, doing one-on-one meetings, doing executive briefings, those types of things, right? Looking at pipeline, looking at forecasts, looking at where we're at. It automates the day-to-day sales effort for the sales manager as well as the sales rep. Super critical, completely tied into Salesforce. Click and you can email your customer that's attending VMworld. If they're not attending VMworld, you can click them and say, click on them, send them an email to show them how to enroll for it, right? I think that next phase, as I talked about, is how do you start driving best of breed applications like quote to cash, best of breed applications like onboarding for SaaS on SAP Brim, to give you an example, right? How do you start driving that next productivity and start setting the old legacy, sunsetting the old legacy apps? Right? And then how do we combine SFDC instances? Right now we have one for Carbon Black, one for AirWatch, and it's been 6.5 years since we acquired AirWatch. So to me, I think that next phase is how do you drive that integration so that we have best of breed systems deployed so that we can quickly integrate the acquisitions, because I don't think our acquisitions are slowing down. We're going to increase, but as we increase those acquisitions, we're going to leave those teams behind, the acquired company behind, if we can't bring them to the new systems. If we still have AirWatch SWDC 6.5 years after the acquisition. So I would just say, I mean, for IT, I'd say, and for our CFO and CEO, I'd say we need to go, consolidate those systems, look at it from an eye of the end user and the sales team in this case, your finance team, and the rest of the users, and make sure that you're driving towards new modernizing applications that give us the same benefits that Workspace One Access has given us, same benefits that vApprove has given us, same benefits in terms of similar benefits as Sales Pulse or Sales Pulse M. I think that's really, really critical. Easier said than done, easier to request, right, than done. That is a long effort, super complex effort, especially if you look at the way a big acquisition was, like AirWatch was doing things, right? Moving it towards the new, way of doing stuff within VMware. But I think that's the next piece of things that I'd like to see from an end user, just and a team, leading a team, if you will, of hundreds of people that are doing quotes every day and trying to onboard customers every day, right? Those are some real issues that we're dealing with. That if we were to automate and move to better systems, I think that would give us some productivity enhancement on the sales side.
John, you got this, right? This sounds like it's going to be easy.
I got it.
All right.
John's best of breed on end user computing. Let me just say that, right? I think that next step is who owns those systems and how are we doing some of the, and I think we're on the path to doing that with the SAP Brim deployment with the CFPQ system that are there. We just need to move a little bit faster and bring in all the SaaS tools that are there.
So speaking of nimble, John, and how long does it take to do things? Carbon Black, we acquired Carbon Black, and I've been amazed at how quickly we've gotten VMware on VMware, or gotten them into the VMware family. I've seen them integrate in. I've seen them. How long does it take when we do have Workspace One to bring in a new company and get them set up and get them as productive as we are?
Well, every company is a little bit different. Everyone has different requirements and security requirements and things of that nature, right? But I think, order of operation really is to get everyone collaborating quicker, faster, right? So if you can get collaboration done first, right, which involves your email, your social platforms, your chat platforms, your voice platforms, if you get those converged quicker, you can start collaborating on how to move forward separately from that.
Rob, I can imagine in the sales org, you're going to see more consolidations as we come out of a pandemic year, and you can just see that this is going to be important for customers to be able to, consolidate quickly as well as acquire new companies and get them up and running.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. In fact, we've got a play, because we do think that, let's be candid, we do think that Workspace One is a phenomenal tool to be able to enable the M&A. Right, on day one, provide access in a controlled fashion to that acquired company, right, and provide access. We've gotten great feedback from the AirWatch team, as well as Carbon Black team, and Pivotal and some of the Dell folks, right. I think the second piece is we think it's a great tool to make the field teams and the sales teams more productive, right. We've got a separate corporate a chief revenue officer play that we do specifically for how do you make your sales teams more productive. We think that resonates, right? And I think that next play that we're working on heavily right now is, we saw the customers that had Workspace One already implemented, within minutes were able to pivot to work from home. We're literally able to pivot from terminal on wheels for prescriptions to a handheld Honeywell device that could be sanitized in seconds between hospital rooms. A terminal on wheels was very difficult to sanitize between rooms, but that's what they had to do. So they were able to pivot very quickly, and we've seen that over and over again, where the Workspace One leaders were called out as heroes by the CEO, and they kind of just shrugged and said that we're not heroes. It was easy to do. On the other hand, we had customers that didn't have Workspace One, and it literally took heroes working 24/7 to enable the stand up Horizon, for instance, to send the call center agents home, to enable work from home. And that took heroic efforts. With Workspace One, we know it doesn't take heroic efforts. We think that the work that John's done to build this example, for instance, to support our team is testimony to what the platform can do. And it doesn't require that hero to be able to pivot, whether you need a new device, an acquisition, a new application. It's not, it doesn't require heroes to be able to deliver it. It just requires solid IT. But it's that vision that John and the team had years ago that said they wanted to do this, that kind of enabled that pivot, if you will. It's that vision that those, Cisco Foods and Estee Lauder had, that said that we want to do this so we can not just manage devices, but enable BYO when we need to do it, right? And continue to support the requirements of the business as they change and move fluidly and easily, right? That's a big deal.
And then just the scale of all this is phenomenal too, because you just don't realize when you're talking millions of devices that are out there that it can be a giant job, or almost makes you want to just quit and go home and put your head in the stand. I'm sure John feels that way sometimes, but with Horizon, everything automated, it works. I know we're coming up at the end of the hour here, so we're going to have to wrap up. Any final thoughts, John? I'll give both of you a couple moments to give a last word, and then we'll wrap up.
I'm just excited for what the future brings for both our colleagues from an experience standpoint and from the tooling perspective. I think this time period that we're in is going to open our eyes into how we manage our employees. What are we looking at from KPI perspective? How do we do break fix going forward? How do we get in front of break fix, and not have to do it, put more colleagues in front and center to help all of us out there that are needing help. So I'm really excited for what the future brings, and I'm happy with the partnerships that we've built over time, and happy to extend those even further going forward.
Yeah, and Eric, I would say that I'm thrilled with the relationship with John and some of the things his team has done. It's really, in a nutshell, has helped us be more productive in the field. Our mission in the field, by the way, is to bring that good news of Workspace One to our customers, to help them do that same for their customers, to help them kind of keep employees safe, but still be secure in the workforce. I'm sorry, at home, but also be able to do their work. Right? We think that's a big, big deal. And that's the mission that we're called to do and we're working on right now. But that relationship with John and his team is invaluable for our customers to demonstrate what we're doing.
Well, thanks a lot, both of you. I think that, the way IT is such a great business partner, collaborating with you guys and also enabling our customers. I think it's fantastic. The VMware on VMware program is fantastic. And I appreciate both of you doing all that hard work and coming in and sharing how you're making that happen this year. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Eric.